Welcome to another episode of Crypto Marketing Insights with me, Yasha Harari. Today I'm going to talk about, what's going on in the crypto world, the blockchain space, as it relates to marketing, because that's what we do on this channel. And specifically about how people are throwing around the word scam a lot these days, and how that affects crypto marketing and other related things. I find it very interesting if you look at all the different YouTube videos, especially of the more popular YouTubers right now, that there's a lot of people throwing around the word scam, not just in the usual comment, peanut gallery, but actually by the YouTubers themselves, who are people usually that have been in the space for at least a year or two or three, some length of time, so they kind of know something about it at least, right? Some of them know a lot, some of them know not so much, some of them, frankly, whatever. But they have some opinions about crypto, and they shill a lot of crypto. Not all of them. Some of them don't shill anything. They're quite vocal about that, and they make a point about it. But there's a good number of people who do shill. And it's not really shilling, to be honest, when they're upfront about it and they're telling you, hey, so-and-so paid me to do this and that. That's not shilling, right? That's just being upfront about your marketing and transparent about it according to the rules, right? Which you have to be if you're a good marketer. And keep in mind, people who are producing YouTube videos for a living, they are, in effect, marketing, right? Because if that's their living, if they're depending on the revenues they make, not just from the ads, but from anything else they push on there, well, they're marketers, right? Even if they like to believe that they're content producers or influencers or whatever they want to tell you that they are, they're marketers, right? They might hate that word. They're salespeople, right? They might hate that word. That's what they are, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because sales is what makes the economy move, right? If there's no sales, well, then there's no money moving, and then you don't get your goods, and the company doesn't get its money, or you don't get your money, and your customer doesn't get the goods, whatever. Like goods and services makes the world go around, right? Because people need stuff, right, to live. Like, you might be a minimalist, but you still need to drink water, right? You still need to eat food. So, so there's this word going around, scam. And it's really unfortunate because when there's a real scam, like we saw with BitConnect, right? People should know, right? And it should be something people pay attention to. But when every single project gets called a scam, when they're not, sure, of course, if anything you do that's worthwhile is going to get criticized. So if you're not getting criticized, you're probably not doing your job well as a marketer, right? That's part of the deal. You need to know that when you're marketing something, you have to be a bit thick-skinned about it, so that you don't get offended by when people criticize your work and call you things like scams. But to just outright call something a scam because you don't like it, even if you don't, especially when you don't know what it is, it's just wrong. And when somebody being called a scammer wants to defend themselves, as they should at least have the right to do, if your counter to that is, no, I don't want to hear it, and you literally don't know anything about the technology, then that's being ignorant, right? Even if you're right, even if it is a scam, if you haven't actually investigated the technicalities and you don't know for sure that yourself that it's a scam, and the sources that have fed you the information saying it's a scam, even if that source is your own head or a trusted friend or a authority you look up to or whatever, if they haven't done the research And if they're behaving the same way as you, closing your ears and acting like a child, then um, then you're really fooling yourself. You're being ignorant, right? There's a lot of projects that people call scams that are frankly not. You know, are they um, traditional? No, right? Probably not. Crypto is not a traditional space, right? There are some more traditional things evolving within crypto, and crypto is evolving its own little traditions, but it is not a traditional financial asset class. It is a new financial asset class, right? That doesn't happen very often. That's the kind of event that happens every few centuries or more. Um, so, can you just outright say, I mean, look, if you're of the mindset that Bitcoin is a scam and still a Ponzi and whatever, then, there's nothing, you're not going to get anything out of this and have a nice day. Leave whatever nasty comment you feel about crypto. Um, but like, if you are of the mindset that crypto is actually of use and has value, and you see that there are a lot of interesting potential use cases in many different projects, um, and there are, right? Even if you don't think they're going to be worth anything someday, even if you think they'll disappear, there's still a lot to be learned from these different projects, right? Even if all you gain out of them is research and development, then you as a user will still benefit ultimately. Why? Because ultimately, those benefits, all that R&D, all that science is done to benefit not just the token holders itself, but the actual technology, right? The technology behind the token or the coin. And anyway, so yeah, so just to call something a scam without any basis is really just fooling yourself. And I wish that would stop, to be honest. But of course it won't, right? It's human nature to, anytime you see something that you don't know, that you're not familiar with, your immediate natural reaction, if you're a common human being, right, is um, not necessarily to embrace it, right? For a long time, for many, many generations, it has served us well, especially our ancestors who were running around the forest or the plains or the jungles or wherever they were. It has served us well to be suspicious of new things, because new things can be very, very often dangerous, right? Especially when you are running around in the wild, not with much on you, if anything, and not with much to help you if something bad happens. So, those many thousands and hundreds of thousands of years of encoding in our genetics, one successive generation after the next, have ensured that we have deeply programmed our mind and our psychology to act out of fear, right? We also act out of motivation and plenty of other things, but we most certainly act out of fear. And one of the things people do out of fear, especially when it comes to what do they do with their treasure, they will protect it incorrectly, right? Even when they know they're doing it incorrectly. For example, if you have some amount of treasure and somebody says to you, hey, uh, because you invested in that or have that or got that, some because you have that other treasure, I'm willing to give you like essentially a voucher or even an actual asset that I've discovered or that I'm creating, and you can have it completely for free. You can also buy some, or you can create your own rather, but you can also eventually buy some when it will be more commonly available. But that's entirely up to you. But you don't have to buy any, right? And the creator of this asset will be handsomely rewarded because he's creating something of value and giving it to people for free. But he's also letting people invest money in it, right? Which is their choice. He's not asking anyone to invest money, and he's being very careful about the way he's presenting it so that it's completely transparent and doesn't break any of the so-called Howey test rules. Um, and obviously people are going to infer from this video that I'm speaking about Hex, right? But I'm not just speaking about Hex, okay? There are actually a lot of products and a lot of crypto projects that are going through this right now. But the thing is, because the guy behind this one project is as vocal and visible as he is, people jump on him and assume that that's, the scam du jour. But there's actually a ton of scams if you look at all of the different altcoins that have been busted, right? Plus token or whatever they were called, one coin or whatever. Of course, BitConnect. I mean, there's no shortage of scam tokens. It's a fine criticism because it's true. But there's also thousands of legitimate projects that are not scams. And just because you don't understand their technology, or just because you don't understand their business model or their game theory or any of the above, or just because you don't understand how marketing is allowed to be done, or just because you don't understand what the actual rules are for marketing financial products and services, doesn't mean that a product that you are suspicious of is in fact a scam, right? It doesn't mean that it's a scam just because you don't like the model. And it doesn't matter what coin I'm talking about. Is Hex in the news a lot these days about this topic? Yes. Do I think it's a scam? Honestly, I haven't found where it is. The thing that that obviously irks people appears to be that Richard can't confirm who the origin address holder is. All I have to say to that is you don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. And also, you don't know actually the names of the central bankers in the United States, do you? And if you do you know the actual people that they work for? No? Because they make the dollar, right? You use it, use the dollar. Do you use a euro? Do you use a pound? What's your currency? Leave a comment below. If you use currency of any kind, whether it's fiat based or crypto based, right? Someone, unless you are the inventor of it, someone is benefiting from that more than you. Right? Even if it's fully decentralized and everything else, Satoshi is benefiting from the price of Bitcoin more than you. Even if Satoshi's dead, Satoshi's wallet is benefiting from the price of Bitcoin more than you, because Satoshi's wallet still has a million, or whatever, millions of Bitcoins, like 4% of Bitcoin, 5% of Bitcoins in Satoshi's known wallets. And they haven't moved. They haven't gained interest, because Bitcoin doesn't give you interest for holding. But it's still a million Bitcoins, and at $7,000 a pop, you do the math. It's a lot of money. So, scam is really, it cheapens the word to overuse it. And I mean that about any word. Right? Facebook did it with the word friend, right? And like. They really have killed those words. There's really no, those words have very little meaning when you say them these days, unless you specify or unless it's clear that you're not talking about Facebook, which is about 60% of internet traffic these days. So effectively, for the majority of internet traffic, the word friend or like has no meaning. And yet Facebook is supposed to bring people together. Friends? Not really friends? Kind of not really friends? Total enemies? I mean, what is, it has cheapened the word to where it means nothing. And like also, right? And again, I'm not saying I hate Facebook. I don't hate Facebook. Facebook is wonderful in many, many ways. And they've invented something great, and their inventor, their founder has been richly rewarded. And you knew exactly what you were doing when you signed up for Facebook, right? And you read the privacy terms, right? Because if you didn't, why are you using things online that you're not reading? Like, because you trusted someone. Okay, so social trust means more to you. Okay, great. Well, then, if social trust means a lot to you, that means you don't actually verify your sources for credibility. 100%, technically, right? Okay. Well, then, if you're that kind of person, you should not be critiquing a financial product that requires some level of technical understanding, right? You need to be able to read a document and understand what it means, and the word has some maths and some financial terms in it, and you need to understand how that works and what that model is and how that's going to impact your potential investments. If you don't understand those things and you're critiquing any token, you'd best be critiquing quietly, because you won't come off sounding the wisest if you are saying things without being able to back it up. And a perfect example of this is that guy, Peter McCormack, who sadly um, was extremely rude in his interview and totally unprofessional in his live stream interview with Richard Hart, which, he may have done it to do a who gotcha kind of thing, gotcha kind of moment, which is what he says he did during the stream. He even says it. But it's very strange that a I don't know, professional or a person who makes his living from interviewing people and generally being respectful, even if he disagrees with something they say, uh, doesn't curse out the person and just scream and shout like an upset child. I mean, it was bizarre to watch that kind of meltdown. But when you're so passionate about your ignorance and you don't want to know what is actually the thing you're critiquing, that kind of closed-mindedness cannot bring a better world. I'm sorry, because even if Peter McCormack is 100% correct, for the sake of argument, let's say he's correct. How is anyone ever going to learn that by watching something like what they saw on that stream? If anything, that stream would make somebody more likely to support Hex, because Richard Hart came off looking like a very reasonable fellow who would not take the bait. And Mr. McCormack came off looking like, I don't know, an angry child. I really don't know how else to put it. It was just, these kind of things happen in a lot of different cases. And again, the Richard Hart and Peter McCormack example I use because we're talking, he gets a lot of visibility. He has managed to build up a sizable audience in the crypto space of like 50,000, 100,000, whatever the number is. If you add up all the people on Twitter, Telegram, YouTube, all that, wherever he is, a sizable audience of crypto people know about Richard Hart and occasionally watch his videos, and subscribe. And to say that what he has created is a scam, and then not to accept listening to the reasoning for it, and just saying, "Oh no, it's a scam," it speaks volumes about the person who's criticizing. Um, you know, Bitcoin, right, was a scam, right? Everyone said Bitcoin's a scam. It's not a scam. Ethereum's a scam. It's not a scam. Um, XRP, it's a scam. It's not a scam, right? These projects have strong plans behind them. Even Bitcoin, which was decentralized and anonymously created, or pseudonymously, or whatever created, um, it has a plan, right? It was designed to be a peer-to-peer electronic money that people can transfer between each other without having to go through trusted third parties, right? That is the plan, right, for it. It doesn't have a marketing plan, long-term this, long-term that. It doesn't have a business development plan, but it has a plan, right? And the math is the plan, right? So if you don't understand these things on a technical level, you really and you want to be in this space, then the best thing you can do is first get educated, right? And if you're marketing something in the crypto space and you're looking for a perfect example of a crypto project that's being critiqued from all sides, undeservedly so, maybe some of it is deserved, but a lot of it is clearly undeserved because the questions have been addressed and answered. Um, then yeah, sure, look at the Hex case. That's a classic case of marketing, frankly, done very well. You got to hand it to Richard Hart. He's done a great job of marketing Hex to date. And frankly, um, it's a very strong case to show you how to navigate criticism, right? When you are faced with challenge in your projects, in your work, in your marketing efforts, how to sit there with the body language and the proper mannerisms and the right expressions and the right words and the right answers to give straightforward, clear, and transparent answers, even to the most, you know, foul-mouthed critics, right? And again, foul-mouthed is fine. You're free. It's free speech, but it does not raise the standard of the game to be foul-mouthed in a public setting. Privately, curse your life away. So such is life. It's sad, right? But and it's not like I don't curse, right? But I mean, when you're making a case, publicly, it doesn't present itself well. It comes off, there are extremely rare cases where it's highly appropriate. But I think, if you believe something is a scam, you should at least do yourself the service of knowing why it actually is. Because maybe it's not. And again, there's a lot of projects doing this. There's a lot of projects being accused of scams. A lot. And they're not scams. Just because an altcoin is not a great coin or doesn't have a huge financial future does not make it a scam. Just because somebody is making money from creating a project or a product does not make it a scam, right? If you think that, go ask Mark Zuckerberg. Go ask Jeff Bezos. Go ask Bill Gates. Right? What do those guys think? Right? Do they think it's wrong to make money from the things they've invented? I highly doubt it. Right? I mean, Jeff Bezos makes money every single time you buy something on Amazon. Every time anyone buys something on Amazon, right? Do you think he thinks it's a scam? That he makes money because he created Amazon and he accepts money for products and he gives you products that have no resale value after you've used them for a second, after you've opened the package? No, he doesn't. Right? Does he tell you exactly who holds what bank account with every penny? Well, aside from what he has to disclose under the obvious laws that govern publicly traded companies, right? No, I bet you he doesn't tell you every stack of everything he holds everywhere in the world. Anyway, so I think it's really, well, that's just going to do it for this. But I really wanted to just, look at that situation and consider that there are many projects that are perfectly valid and are making a ton of great progress, right, on things that are actually important. And they get called scams and they get called all kinds of unpleasant things, undeservedly, because people who call them that have not done the research. They just have a very loud mouth, and maybe they have an audience, or maybe they have some way of getting the word out, but their loud mouth usually is all that it needs, right? And it's so easy to call something a scam. And so when I see YouTubers like FUD TV, and I'm going to call you out on this one, Elio. I like your show usually. I really do. I think it's really awesome. Um, I'm not being too critical here. I just want to say, like, you do good research, but on this, you clearly didn't, right? And there's tons of other YouTubers like this. Again, I'm not trying to be singly pointing out Elio. He has a great show 99% of the time. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Well, maybe 80% of the time, I think it's wonderful. But it's a great show, FUD TV. But when you criticize a project and your opinion of it is, well, that you haven't really looked too into the technicals, but this is your opinion, it really devalues the argument against it. And you're supposedly, if you are supposedly a professional crypto YouTuber looking at this space and analyzing it and reporting the news of what's actually important, then it is upon you to make sure you investigate what you claim. And it does not meet that test, right, in this case. So I'm a bit disappointed when I see videos like that. And when I see people who are otherwise, marketing things in YouTube videos, calling one out because that's the popular thing and everyone let's jump on this guy and hate on this guy because maybe he had a past we don't like or something, or he did something in the past, or he's accused of saying something in the past we don't like, and therefore we believe that because someone else published it online and it must be true because it's on a website that has a name like, I don't know, whatever, something I believe. Yeah, so because of a past story, now my whole opinion of this guy is jaded and I can never believe anything he says again, even if I don't actually verify. That means you literally don't understand trust, not verify, right? Don't trust, verify. You don't understand that if you just think something is a scam without looking at the code or at least the business model, or at least, whatever the documentation, like actually read the smart contract details, actually read the functionality. If you are not familiar with that, it's really, it is not a good thing to be criticizing a project you haven't thoroughly reviewed. Anyway. All right. But again, FUD TV, I love it. It's great. It's wonderful. And many other shows I've seen criticize Hex as a scam. I also think they're great. I think Lark also called it that, but or they all hedged around it. None of them would say it legit is a scam because they all said, "Well, I don't have any evidence of it." Well, if you don't have any evidence of it, then you really shouldn't be presenting it as that. And so, I'm disappointed in all of the larger YouTubers, to be perfectly honest, on this particular topic. But not just about X, but a lot of different projects that are legit that they're criticizing or ignoring because it doesn't pay them well enough. And at the same time, they shill projects that have gone, frankly, to zero. And most of them have lost 90 to 95 or even 99% of their value. And yet they continue to shill these type of projects, and because they're getting paid from them, so they got to pay the bills, and that's fine. But they shill them, pretending that these are potentially wonderful things, when they know full well there's every chance this thing's going to fail, and that there's frankly a bigger chance that that thing is somehow scammy because they're not being entirely transparent about what they're doing with the funds, right? A lot of people appear to be nice guys and everything, and then it turns out, well, yeah, they're actually scamming you. And it was written there all the time. You just have to read the documents, right? And if you're not doing that, if you're not reading between the lines, if you're not seeing the loopholes or the this or the that, if you're not actually analyzing it properly, you're doing yourself and everyone else that you're talking to about it a disservice. So that's kind of what I'm going to end that on. Yeah. Anyway, folks, that's going to do it for this week, or for this episode, I guess. I don't know if it's going to be another week, but whatever day it is where you are, hope you're having a great December. We are in December now, right? Yeah. It's so happy December, and happy December the 8th right now. So good all on that, and whatever you're doing, wherever you are, hope you're having a great time. May you make much wonderful marketing. May your marketing efforts have lots of gains. And always remember, when you're marketing, like, you're there to tell stories and, show people the message of what you're marketing. So always keep that message in the direction that meets your longer term strategy. And, make sure that you are focused on that, so that you don't get distracted by the minor quarrels and criticisms of the naysayers who just, I don't know, seem to prefer investing their time, wasting their time, rather than investing their time building something of their own or helping someone else build something great. So, that said, folks, hope you're all doing well. Have a great time. Thanks again for listening to Crypto Marketing Insights. And until next time, take care.